And action! Hi, my name is Jillian Godshall and I am a filmmaker. Today we'll be working together to make viewfinders as a way to learn about shot types, framing, and composition in filmmaking. This video is part of the Acadiana Center for the Arts online series Virtual Art Studio, where teaching artists present lessons in visual art, dance, music, and more that you can enjoy from anywhere. In order to make our viewfinder, you should have the following supplies handy. You should have some type of sturdy paper. These are those free paint swatches from a hardware store. You can scrounge around your recycling bin to find something that's sturdy, old containers. Today I'll be using an old cereal box. You should also have scissors, tape, some type of string, or you can use rubber bands if you have those lying around. You'll need a ruler, and you'll need a pencil and some blank paper for sketching our thumbnails. Before we work together to make our viewfinders, let's learn about framing and composition. Here are some key terms that you'll want to know. Framing and composition is the placement of the subject in relationship to other objects in the image. So what you see through the lens of the camera, and for us today, what we'll see through our viewfinders. The cinematographer is the person who's responsible for capturing the visuals of the film using camera equipment. This may also be referred to as videographer, camera operator, director of photography, or shooter. Today, that's you. You will be behind your viewfinder capturing the shots. The subject is what is in front of the camera. For our purposes today, what's in front of the viewfinder. So this can be a person, a pet, buildings, plants, anything that we are capturing visuals of. And so the subject leads the cinematographer's decisions about aspects like lighting, composition, exposure settings, and more. And we'll talk about some of the best decisions to make in terms of how you're framing up your subject according to the type of emotional response or the action that you're capturing. The rule of thirds is a rule about framing that cinematographers use to help get visually strong images. We'll be using this rule as we create the guides on our viewfinder with our string. The rule dictates that there's 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical lines that create 9 equal boxes on your frame. And so the basic rule is that the major elements of your image should fall on these dividing lines, and then any areas of emphasis should fall on the intersections. So we'll keep this in mind as we are using our viewfinders to frame up our shots. Maybe you want your subject to fall on the leftmost vertical line or the rightmost vertical line, and for whatever area of emphasis to fall on those intersection points. Using this rule to take photos creates compositions that have more visual strength. Our rule of thirds helps us allow for looking room and headroom. Your subject should not have too much headroom, too much room between the top of their head and the top of the frame, or too little. There also should be ample room on either side to allow us to see in the general direction that they might be looking. So your subject should be fit proportionally in the frame according to what they're doing and how you'd like to capture it. Another way to frame a subject is right down the center. So instead of using our rule of thirds to place them on either side or top or bottom, we can put them right in the center. You can see that here with this frame. Other things to keep in mind when you're thinking about framing is that in each frame there are 3 different distances from where the camera is to the back of the frame, we can say. So there's the foreground, what sits in the very front of the frame. There's the middle ground, what sits in the middle of the frame, and then the background, what's in the background. So I feel like we have a natural sense for this, but it's important just to keep this distinction clear so that when you're looking, you see the whole frame. Foreground, middle ground, background, and all sides of your frame. So now let's talk about shot types. These are different ways to frame our subject. You've likely heard of many of these, but we'll run through them together. All right, so first let's look at our extreme wide shot. This is used to show the subject from a distance. It's usually used to show the environment in which the story is taking place. It can help to establish a scene. The character doesn't necessarily have to be viewable in this shot. It's more about the environment in which the story is taking place. And then we get in a little bit closer in terms of framing, and we have our wide shot. So this shows the subject from top to bottom, but also still establishing them within the scenery around them. So head to toes can be further back, doesn't necessarily have to fill the frame, so that we can see them in relationship to their environment. This shot often sets the scene and our character's place within it. So you can see that many of our shots are defined by the boundary lines of our bodies. Since very often a subject is a person, this has become a common way to break down our shot types. So our full shot, we can see all around the frame here, is a character from head to toe filling the frame. And then we get into various other shot types. Our medium shot is typically from around the waist and up, and then our close-up is around the chest and up. And we'll look at these in more detail as we go through, but I just wanted you guys to get a sense for how the shot types fall on a person's body. All right, so our full shot is filling the frame from head to toe, so closer than the wide shot on a person, less concern for the scene around them, and more focusing on the movement or the action that's taking place with our subjects in the frame. A medium shot is typically from waist and up, and this is going to show the subject in more detail. This is one of the most common shots seen in film. And then our close-up is going to be chest and up, and this is really used to show the character's emotional state. We can see their face, their facial expressions clearly. And then there's an extreme close-up. This emphasizes a small area or detail of the subject, such as an eye, or in this case their watch, perhaps the time, or this particular watch is an important detail that the viewer needs to understand and see up close to be in the story. So the last thing I want to talk about in terms of composition and framing is our aspect ratio. So this can get super technical and wonky, but basically what I need you to understand is that all cameras and all monitors, what we are watching our footage on, can show our footage in a certain aspect ratio, which means the height to width of our frame. So the most common aspect ratio is 16:9. That's for HD and most things that our phones capture and that our basic cameras capture and what we're viewing on our TVs, 16:9. You can see here in this image that there are other aspect ratios and that the ratio of width to height changes what is in our frame and how we're capturing our shots. Now that you're equipped with that new knowledge, let's make our viewfinders together so you can get out there and start framing things up. We are going to make our viewfinders at a 16:9 aspect ratio so we can see what it looks like to frame up our shots in the standard HD aspect ratio. To do this, we'll divide 16 and 9 by 4. This means our rectangle will be 6 inches wide and 4.25 inches tall. Use your ruler to mark that and then cut it out. Now we have to make the inside of the viewfinder, the window cutout. We'll move in 1 inch on all sides so that our interior dimensions are 4 by 2.25 inches. Use your ruler to mark that and then cut it out. Our final step is to add our string for our rule of thirds guides. Cut out 2 pieces of string that are about 5 inches long and 2 pieces of string that are about 3.5 inches long. Width-wise, mark a dash every 1.33 inches, just a little more than 1.25 inches. You should have 2 dashes on top and 2 dashes on bottom, spaced evenly apart from one another. Height-wise, mark a dash every 0.75 inches. You should have 2 dashes on the left and 2 dashes on the right. Now, string your string tautly across vertically and horizontally and tape it down on the back of the viewfinder. Ta-da! You have a 16 by 9 viewfinder with guides for capturing images using rule of thirds. Now let's get out there and capture our shots. I want for you to choose 3 shot types that we've discussed today, keeping in mind some of the framing and composition techniques that we've learned. So, will you do a close-up, a wide shot? Will your subject be centered in the center of the frame? Will they be positioned on either side using your rule of thirds, keeping in mind that there should be ample headroom and looking room? Will you choose the same subject to frame up 3 different ways, or will you choose 3 different subjects to capture using 3 different shot types? It's up to you. How will you use your viewfinder to capture your shots? Take just a little bit of time to plan that out. You will be going out into the world around your house using your viewfinder to find those 3 shots for our scavenger hunt, and then you'll be using your pencil and paper to jot down some quick thumbnail sketches. A thumbnail sketch is just a super quick small drawing done to capture key elements of a frame. So do not worry about drawing well or in great detail. This is essentially just to get a feel for where your subject sits within the frame. In lieu of a camera, this is how we'll capture footage. By the time you finish, you should have 3 quick thumbnail sketches, each illustrating a different shot type that you've chosen to capture using your viewfinder. Today, I will be using one subject and framing them up in 3 different ways. Here is my subject. Remember, you don't need another person. You can use an object or a pet or a plant. Whatever you have in the environment you're in right now is totally fine. I'm going to start with a full shot from head to toe with my subject filling the frame. This allows me to focus on her movement and action. Then I'll sketch that out in my notebook. My frame for each of my thumbnail sketches should roughly be in the same 16:9 aspect ratio rectangle shape as our viewfinder. All right, shot 1 captured. Next, I'll do a close-up, neck up. This allows me to see her emotional state and to showcase her reactions. I'll just sketch that out here. For my last shot, I'm going to do an extreme close-up of her eye. Sketch it down and voila! I've captured 3 shot types with my thumbnail sketches. Now you can go on your own scavenger hunt to do the same. Good luck! All right, great work. You are a shot type superstar, a framing maestro, a composition expert. I hope that you use your new knowledge to plan out your next film project or just to view the world around you through new perspectives. Thanks for creating with us today, and be sure to tune in next week for Virtual Art Studio. Cut!